Welcome to the 2020 West 10 Media Gridiron Glory Preview. Now, as you see, we're on the campus of Bartlett High School, the soon-to-be new look Bartlett High School, and we picked this campus for a reason. In the condition that it's in right now, it kind of puts us on the mind of the upcoming football season. It's a lot of moving parts, a lot of things being changed, a lot of things have to be fixed, a lot of things got to be retooled, and there's some uncertainty. Now, these men who are working hard back here, they're going to make sure everything's in tip-top shape when it's all said and done. But as for the 2020 football season, there's a lot to be discussed. So I invited my good friend Bartlett John, and we're about to talk about all our 17 of our teams, what to expect for this season, and let's get into it before we get ran over. Okay, now we're here, and John, once again, I appreciate your help, man, your expertise, and we're going to take a look at all 17 of our teams, and to kind of help it flow this year, we're only going to take 90 seconds for each team. Can you handle that?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay, so we're going to do it in alphabetical order. I know last year we did Bartlett Express, Millington Star, Shelby Sun Times, and Collierville Herald-Independent. That's where you can find all the coverage on all these teams this upcoming season with West 10 Media. But that got a little confusing, a little convoluted. Let's go in alphabetical order.
I like the alphabetical a little bit better anyway, to be honest with you.
Okay, so that means we start with Arlington. So I'm about to put you on the clock with 90 seconds. What do you know about the Tigers?
Well, they're coming off a 6-4 record from last season. They did not qualify for the playoffs due to a head-to-head matchup with Bartlett, who battled out for the 4th seed last year. They returned a wide receiver, tight end, linebacker, you name it, Jake Golday, who's also a good basketball player on the Arlington basketball team, and familiar with the last name of Golday that played basketball in the past.
Yes.
But I think it's going to be hard to tell because so many teams that they're playing, they end up filling with different opponents due to the COVID-19 right now. Yeah. They open up this Friday with Hall, so the first few games will definitely tell how Arlington's going to do. Their offense, I think, is going to be okay. Their defense, a little bit shaky at times because you never know what's going on during spring football right now.
Yeah.
Or fall football.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Or summer this past year. So that's our look at Arlington, and we're going to head into our next school. Okay, so now we go to our second team to break down. And wait, actually, we could just go talk to them
right here. Yeah,
we need to the Bartlett Panthers, but they're practicing right now. So what do you know about those guys behind us?
They finished 6-5 last year. They made the playoffs, lost to a tough team in White Station in the first round of playoffs. But I know they are led by Coach Lance Tucker in the second season. They have a good running back in Robert Guillermo. If I say the last name wrong, Robert, I do apologize. Yes. But he does have an offer by Arkansas Tech, which he got recently.
Okay.
So I think, to be honest with you, the key for Bartlett this year will be key injuries at certain points of the season. Because you got to remember, throughout the year last year, Bartlett kind of got injury prone a little bit.
Yes, it did.
And it kind of did hurt them against the Houston's, the Arlington. Well, they beat Arlington 42-0 last year, but against like a good team like White Station. And I think, to be honest with you, they're going to be okay. I really think this is the year, but to be honest with you, it's going to be hard to tell like we just talked about. Shelby County schools,
that schedule changed
a lot. They were scheduled to play different teams with Shelby County, but they can't play because they're pushed back right now.
And let's be honest, they had to pick up some tougher competition.
They played first game is at Christian Brothers against Thomas McDaniel, who played at Bartlett High School, a matter of fact. And then they play at South Haven and then home against St. Benedict for the non-conference schedule.
So we're going to really see how good these Panthers are this year.
Yeah, I think so. I think it'll be okay for them.
Okay. Well, that's our look at the Bartlett Panthers. Let's move on. So our third team in this rotation is the Bolton Wildcats, the real BHS Bowl opponent here. Now, Bolton, they're in the league with the Millington Trojans, who I cover, and they moved into that league last year, so it's their second year in Region 8-4A. What do you know about the Wildcats?
Well, first of all, I wish the Bartlett-Bolton game could be back on the schedule. You know, nothing against that, but I wish they would basically play each other on like they had the BHS Bowl trophy back in the day.
Yeah.
But they did go winless last year, and the first-year head coach C.J. Marshall, who is the head football coach at Bolton, who played at Bolton. I think they're going in the right spot with the alumni as the head football coach. It's just going to take time to get some more rebuilding and the enrollment going back up.
Okay. So it is a young program. They did lose a couple key pieces from last year. But in that league, with a 14 league, they might sneak in, might be able to do a little something in the playoffs.
They take the top two, right?
Yeah, the top. Well, we don't know how it's going to shape out. So if everybody plays the schedule, this and that, but most likely looking at the top two, they want to get in that mix. You win the right game in that league, you can do something.
I think they got to beat Craig Mott and Fairway to make the playoffs.
Yes,
So.
and they might pull off an upset against Millington. You don't know, but that's how I look at the Bolton Wildcats. Okay, so now we're back and we moved, but now we're looking at our fourth team on this list. This is the Briarcrest Saints. Great season last year. Got a couple big wins, but came a little short in the playoffs. What do the Saints have marching in?
They finished the year 9-2 last year, lost to Innsworth in the first round in the battle, 35-33. But they return Michael Dallas, their quarterback, who's going to be pretty good this year. That's the key for them this year, I think, quarterback position, because they lost Omari Thomas, Rodney Newsom, Reggie Neely, so many seniors from that last year's squad who basically, to me, should have gone further in the playoffs.
They were playing for that run.
They were playing for the state. To me, they were the contenders for the state championship in that classification last year.
Yeah. And they came up 1 point short. I know they had to hurt. So they lost a lot of size on the line, but do you think they replaced it? Do you think they're going to be good on both lines?
The first two games will definitely tell how they do, because they had to make up some games due to COVID-19 also. Yeah. So they picked up Caryville this Friday night, and they picked up Houston next week as well. So those were going to be telling how those linemen go against their linemen, 6A versus Division II as well for size-wise.
Okay. Hey, we know real quick about the Briarcrest Saints. Let's look at them. Next on the list is a team in my coverage area, the Brighton Cardinals. Head coach Mike Davis in his second year. First year under him, 3-7. And, they lost senior quarterback Nick Johnson, Liberty Bowl All-Star, so now they have to replace him this year. And they got a couple young kids working in, but I think the guy that's going to get the start is Nick Harville, a junior dual threat quarterback. What's some of the things you know about those Cardinals up there in Tipton County?
Well, like you just said, they finished the year 3-7 last year. They lost their defense coordinator, Chris Jordan, who ended up going back to Lausanne after 1 year at Brighton. But they're going to be in a tough district. I think against the inner city schools with Southwind, I believe it is, Ridgeway. And the key game, those games were non-conferences like Munford. They got Millington on the schedule this year due to COVID-19.
They start with Bolivar Central. So
and I believe that one's on the road, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, they start on the road this Friday.
And that's a good test for them early on, too.
Yeah, so September 4th, that's a schedule change. They will come to Millington to play the Trojans in a good local area game. We need to get that rivalry back going anyway.
Highway 51.
Yes. But also, I like to point this out about the Brighton Cardinals. That 3-7 finish last year, they play a lot of teams tough. Robin Jacobs is back in the mix on that defense. When he was there, some success. So maybe this one might, have some success going forward. They got a good defense with Gavin Hayes and other players like that. So the Cardinals might be trying to make some noise. But here's the thing that we've been avoiding so far. They play a lot of Memphis teams, Shelby County teams on their schedule. If Shelby County decide not to have a season, the championship comes down between them and Munford in September. So just throwing it out there, just food for thought, and that's a look at the Brighton Cardinals. I hope I'm still on camera.
Hello. Okay.
So we're looking at the Caryville Dragons, and that big school, big beautiful school, and everything like that. So it's nice when you're an opponent and you go there, but the Dragons make sure you don't have fun by the time you leave. So how the Dragons are shaping up this year?
5-6 last season. Lost to Central and Major Wright and Company 35-28 in a good battle in the playoff game. They lost a lot of seniors as well in graduation. They lost, I believe, their quarterback to graduation.
Mitch Austin.
Right. So their first few games as well is due to COVID and everything like that as well. So they picked up two decent teams like in Briarcrest. They picked up some games down in Mississippi as well, if I'm not mistaken. And they also picked up Munford on September 4th as well.
Yeah.
So I think Caryville is going to be in the top with Bartlett, Arlington, Cordova.
Now here's the thing about the Dragons. Last year, close games, left and right. So
this is the last game of the playoff.
So like I said, if you're a Caryville fan, you're about to have a heart attack every game. You go out there and watch them play at that beautiful Landers Field. So do you think what do they have to do to turn those into wins? So maybe they're 8-2, 7-3.
Get off the field on third down on defense. Because that's key. Because like we talked about in high school, college, even middle school, if you play like 3rd and 9, and the team converts on first down, it's gonna be a long day for you.
Yeah, it's a heartbreaker. Yes, it is. But hopefully the Dragons will find a way to pull out more victories.
And they real quick, they do have a good coach in Joe Rocconi as well, who played at Caryville, so he can tell the kids, like we talked about last year, he plays a tough schedule year in, year out, like he did at Rossville Christian back in the day. And everywhere he's been, he's always had a tough schedule.
Yeah, so the Dragons won't run from anybody, and they might run over a few people this year. And that's how I look at the Dragons. Okay, John, let's take a look at Cordova. Shelby County Schools is the enigma that we don't know about. We don't know if they'll get out there this year. But if the Wolves do get out there, what do they have?
Finished 4-7 last year. Hopefully, Shelby County Schools make a decision after Labor Day to find out who Cordova can play and not play. Because last year they played a tough schedule in Germantown, Central, Whitehaven, South Panola, non-district. So this year, luckily, as of right now, the only non-conference game they got on the schedule was Briarcrest. So that's in the middle of October, like we talked about before off air, was basically Cordova's got to step up big with the young players to get some momentum in these district type of games against Arlington. Because last year it went down to the wire for that Arlington game as well, for who makes the playoffs and doesn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, so Cordova's schedule is going to be important for seeding and how they play those other teams. Let's all look at the Wolves. Okay, now we head way up into Tipton County with the Covington Chargers. Take a look at them. A couple years ago, made it to the state finals. They were primed on a great run last year. Then they dropped a couple key games at the end of the 2019 season that kind of messed up their playoff season. But they put together a nice little run there. Because, hey, when you got a good running game and J.R. Kirby at the top of the helm, you will be competitive. What do you know about the Chargers?
J.R. Kirby's the head football coach. They lost to Pearl Cone out of Nashville at Pearl Cone, 21-20. So I don't really remember if it came down to a missed extra point, or if J.R. Kirby went, or if J.R. Kirby went for 2 at the end on the road. You never know. But
with his running game, led by the Fane kid and a couple other key guys back there, he might have tried to run. So
he definitely has a key running back when we talked about in him, who definitely ran over 1,000 yards last year. But the first game's at Munford, or against Munford this Friday. And then guess what? They play Haywood out of Brownsville-Haywood week 2. They picked that game up.
So we don't know how good the Chargers are going to be. One last thing I want to throw out about the Chargers, they lost a lot of key offensive linemen from last year's team. But it seems like they're reloading and getting them back. But as long as those running backs stay healthy and can help those young guys get acclimated, they'll be okay. It's Covington. We are the champions,
my friends.
My bad singing is bad enough, but it's only one team that can sing that in the Shelby County area from last year. That's the ECS Eagles. Let's talk about those Eagles.
14-1 last year in like state championship under their belt. They were good. Don't get me wrong. They were led by some of their key players on quarterback, receiver, linebacker, you name it.
Austin Hill,
who's now at Army.
Yeah.
But they do have an offensive lineman that committed to Clemson.
Big number 77, yes.
So he's a big one. He weighs 320. So the key this year will definitely be the offensive line, the key positions at receiver, quarterback, and different positions. Whoever steps up big will get them back in the state championship, in my opinion, because I think it's a down year in that league.
Okay, and the Houston game will let us know how good they are.
Well, that's right, because they lost to Houston last year.
Yeah, and they got a little revenge on the mind, but it'll be a good litmus test for the Eagles trying to defend their state championship.
Oh, and David Carter is back in Memphis as a defense or offensive coordinator as well.
So we're looking for some big offense from ECS. Okay, so now we're back, and now we're going to look at ECS's rival, FACS, the Crusaders. They lost a great quarterback in Putnam from last year. I saw him last year against Tommy Clifton and Millington. It was like going back for it was like a prize fight. So what do the Crusaders have coming back this year?
They finished the year 5-6 last year. They lost, like we talked about, Cole Putnam, who's now gone over to Tennessee Tech, I believe, to play college football. But another running back they lost to graduation as well last year as well. It's going to be an interesting year because it's a whole new coaching staff at FACS, because the coach Joey Lowe that they had moved to South Carolina to pursue other opportunities. But a familiar name with Millington, their offense coordinator is good old Alan Cross.
Yeah, so University of Memphis stand out and Millington Trojans stand out.
So hopefully they can get some momentum going in their league as well, because they got to play ECS, Lausanne, St. George's, just to name a few.
Okay, now just throw this in there. 2011 Millington Star Athlete of the Year, Alan Cross, which means he's getting old and I'm getting old. But let's look for some new things from FACS this upcoming year. So now we're going to go back to Shelby County Schools with Germantown High School. don't get us into that whole explain why Houston's a Germantown school and Germantown's, it's a whole long story. But the Red Devils are under that cloud of Shelby County School, but they might not play this year. They're trying to bounce back after 2 perfect regular seasons. They had a step back last year because they lost and graduated a lot of talent. And then they brought in some young talent that was getting his feet wet and getting acclimated to this level. So how the Red Devils shaping up if they do get out there on the field?
They went to finish the year 2-9 last season, and like we just talked about, it's a season of uncertainty right now due to the fact of COVID-19. But they have a new head football coach, Gene Robinson, who used to be the head football coach at Fairleigh High School, who's pretty young. And
pretty successful at Fairleigh.
I think, to be honest with you, that's the great hire for the Germantown Red Devils because he was successful at Fairleigh High School.
He's pushing him out of Coach Salisbury at Whitehaven, where he's going to try to build up a program and keep that longevity going and working with young talent. He played on that high level. He was a former Tiger in high school, and he played on the D1 level. So they got the right guy in the right place. And if he works with that young talent, we're going to be looking back for the Red Devils to make some noise. Okay, so now we're back, and we're going to look at a team that was close to saying we are the champions in the Houston Mustangs. There's no Lincoln Perry. And they also graduated their all-time leading quarterback and receiver. So what does Coach Thomas have back?
A good offensive line.
Oh, okay, that's a good place to start. But break down last year and
13-1 last year, went to the state semifinals and lost to a team in Ravenwood out of Nashville at Ravenwood. And that was a good game until the second half, which was a little bit by turnovers.
That game had been here in Houston, I think.
I think Houston would have won, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because they're going for that state championship.
Because home field advantage is always key on how far you drive and what day of the game. Because Ravenwood's a long drive.
Yes, it is.
It's about a 3 to 3.5 hour drive. But like we talked about, they do lose a lot of key seniors in Grayson Hitt, the wide receiver, who's now at Alabama for baseball. Lincoln Perry, who's at Arkansas State, doing well at Arkansas State. But like we talked about, the offensive line will be definitely key this year for Houston. They do open up this Friday against Christian Brothers, and the game is sold out.
Okay. Well, let's see how good the Mustangs are going to be coming into this year. Good place to start with the offensive line. Let's see how everything else works around it. And let's look at the Mustangs. Okay, now we're back. Now, John, for these next two, you can chime in if you want to. But we're going back to my coverage area. Millington Trojans. Okay, 8-4 last year. I mean, 9-4. No, they were actually 9-3. They lost to Crockett County, lost 2 in the regular season, but Region 8-4A champions. Head coach Chris Michaels graduated a couple offensive line. He graduated a couple premier linebackers with Mello Thomas and Hunter Lucas. And he graduated some other guy. Tommy Clifton. Yeah, Tommy Clifton. All-world quarterback. So how do we replace that? Maybe with a freshman. And McCord Pugh, he's going to come in for the middle school program. He's been playing in that system. He knows what he's doing. He just has to grow physically. But all his teammates said he's a couple steps ahead of Tommy at that point. So that's some praise-worthy words right there. Devin Knight is going to lead the defense from linebacker. And then you got key linemen like Hunter Smith who are going to come out there, make sure the line play is good for players like Adrian Buck, Dow, Reggie Caldwell, Milton Yarborough, so they can spread the field and get out there and do some things. So you want to add anything else to what I've been saying?
I think like we talked about, the key position will be quarterback.
How does that translate this year? Yes. So if the quarterback position plays well, you can look for Millington to reclaim the Region 8-4A championship. If not, it might be in for a long year. That's the Millington Trojans. Now the Munford Cougars, the rivals of the Millington Trojans, M&M Bowl, which is on schedule for this year. So y'all can start hating on each other through Twitter and all that stuff, the students out there. But the Munford Cougars, they're going to be under their first year under Slade Calhoun, who was defensive coordinator the past 2 years. Now, he's known for using the spread offense in his days back in Haywood and Brighton. But he said he's going to use that power running game because he has players like Vic Whiteback, quarterback Jackson O'Neal, who also is almost a 1,000-yard rusher. So if it ain't broke, why try to fix it? But young offensive, he graduated a lot of that.
I think, with the first year being first year under a new coach, and they have all the returning players like we just talked about, I think it's best to keep the same offensive scheme because the players are used to it.
Yeah, and
the players are used to under Coach Nick Markle, who's now at a different place right now.
Yeah.
But I think that's the best way to do it.
And when you go through a COVID preseason,
and plus the defenses are harder to defend that option as well.
Yeah, because you don't know who got the ball, and then you went through a preseason where you had limitation in practices. Coach might be really ready to hit them with that power running game and the option game. The Munford Cougars had a 7-3 record last year, looking to continue their winning ways. Let's look at the Munford Cougars. so now we jump back into the private school ranks with St. Benedict and the Eagles. What do you know about those Eagles?
Finished the year 3-7 last year under Marlon Walls, who first year last year as the head football coach at St. Benedict. They're in their tough district.
Yes, they play.
Like we talked about last year, they're in there with Montgomery Bell, Pope John Paul, Christian Brothers, Briarcrest, MUS. Just to name a few. All those teams are tough against it. It's gonna be hard because they do have a good player that came in from IMG Academy that everybody's been talking about, who's an offensive lineman. He's a 5-star, but is he gonna be playing both ways?
Yeah, and
who knows?
He needs 3 or 4 other guys right next to him for that league. But the Eagles is always a tough fight for them to get out of that nest, and it's like it's going to be another tough year for them, but let's see if they can make some noise. Okay, now we move on to St. George's. Still one of the younger schools around here, but they started off hot, built a proud tradition. For the last couple of years, it's been kind of wavery and shaky a little bit. So let's talk about the Griffins and what do they have coming back?
They finished the year 4-7 last year. The enrollment is the main thing over there right now, because I've been told that the enrollment's going up, down, up, down, up, down. So it really depends on how they go in their conference schedule as well. Like we talked about with FACS, those Lausanne Lynx, those FACS Crusaders, their ECS Eagles, just to name a few. But it's going to be a challenging year. But like we talked about, it's going to be telling about who stays healthy and not healthy due to this moment, COVID-19 right now.
So that's our look at St. George's, and we get ready to move on to our last school that we're looking at. Okay, now we come to the conclusion of the previews for all our area teams. I'm going to put this up right now because we're talking about the Tipton-Rosemark Academy Rebels, another one of the teams in our coverage area. Now, they're coming into this year replacing longtime head coach Colin Penner, promoted up, moving up to Shannon O'Brien from defensive coordinator to head coach, familiar name in this area. Led St. Benedict for several years, even went over to Poland and coached a team over there teaching them American football. So he's a mastermind with football. Has brought in Mike Mahoney on his staff as the defensive coordinator. So you have 2 veteran minds leading a young group that has to replace some talent that they graduate. What do you know about those Rebels?
Finished the year 4-7 last year, made the playoffs, but they're in a tough district.
Yes.
It's based on numbers with this district that they're in. And they played the Davidson Academies, the Nashville Christian, like USJs, and man, traveling 3 hours on a Friday night or Friday afternoon when you get out of school or before school even ends.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard because you're traveling so far away on a Friday afternoon.
And it's also going to be hard on the Rebels because you replace all-time leading running back Mac Fullen. But a good place to do it is just go to his gene pool. His little brother Payne Fullen is coming in at quarterback this year. Going to be around the field mixing in. They're going to spread it out a little bit more from what Coach told me. They have a Jalen Hurt. You might be familiar around these parts. That transferred there a couple years ago. He's going to be in the mix. Tucker James is a halfback, linebacker extraordinaire. So there's some key players that are coming back. And they got mixed in a large freshman class this year at Tipton-Rosemark. Anything else you want to add?
I think, Shannon O'Brien, is the right guy for the job because he's been around so many years, and he can tell these players, this is what, from my St. Benedict days, we might not have the numbers back then as well. So he can tell them how he experienced it as well back in the day at St. Benedict.
That's true. So let's look at all our teams. We got the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen, what's going to go. I don't even know where I'm going to be from Friday to Friday. If they'll let me in, I will have my mask and everything. I hope I got one on me right now. But I got to make sure I keep the mask in the car and everything. But I'm going to make sure everything's prepared. So Millington Star will have his coverage. Caryville Herald-Independent, Bartlett Express, and the Shelby Sun Times. And I know I'll be hearing from my guy John throughout with updates. And our team and staff are going to be on top of it. And hopefully we're covering a bunch of games, and hopefully we're celebrating the state championships in December. But let's see how it goes. And John, I want to thank you once again for taking time and all that research, my friend. And let's be ready to go into 2020.
I hope so, man. I just hope everyone stays healthy, and hopefully this virus will go away soon so people can enjoy football. Whether it's either online, watching the game online on the stream, or going in there in person like we just talked about. It's because nobody knows what's going to happen because of the uncertain. You might have only like 300 people at a game without bands, without students. It's the unexpected. You never know what's going to happen. Hopefully, like we just talked about, bring some gold balls back to Memphis from Cookeville this year.
Let's go into the 2020 and may God bless everybody. Let's be safe out there. Okay, so we conclude this video, the preview for our 2020 West 10 Media football season with our Power 10. This is our 4th year for the Power 10, and this year, a lot of uncertainty, so I'm just going to wing it this year. You know, past winners, back-to-back champions, Germantown and Houston. So here is the 2020 Power 10 for West 10 Media. Look for it every week in our publications, the Bartlett Express, the Collierville Herald-Independent, the Millington Star, and the Shelby Sun Times. So, at number 10, Germantown. A lot of uncertainty. Let's see if they get out there and play a season, but I think they got young talent that'll be back. Number 9, Brighton, the Cardinals. They do a threat, quarterback pans out, they can be making some noise. Number 8, Bartlett. Made the playoffs last year, trying to make another run at the playoffs, and you should get out there and catch a game at that beautiful stadium. Number 7, speaking of another beautiful stadium, the Caryville Dragons. We got them coming in number 7. If the new quarterback pans out, you know, the defensive play, and Ethan Hassel leads that defense, they can do some damage out there. Number 6, the Millington Trojans. They should be primed to win their league again, but how they handle the rest of their tough schedule, they have enough talent returning to win some of those big games. How will the offensive line pan out? That's the key question there. Number 5, the Munford Cougars. Now, their power running game wins a lot of games. They'll beat you slow and methodically, and that's a good plan for success. So I got the Cougars at number 5. Now our top 4. Briarcrest comes in at number 4. The Saints, they graduate a lot of talent, but they have a lot coming back in. They do play an extremely tough league, but they're also an extremely tough team to beat themselves. They win the right couple games, they can go on a nice run. At number 3, the Houston Mustangs. They finished number 1 last year, but they did graduate a lot of top talent. What do they have coming back, and how will they be able to pan out? Number 2, the Covington Chargers. The Chargers, they're loaded on offense. J.R. Kirby is used to having a power running game that can win a lot of close games, and they're primed to maybe even take that top spot this year. And at number 1, they are the defending champions in their classification, the ECS Eagles. We had them coming back at number 1. Although they graduated Mr. Football, Austin Hill, they still have enough talent to make another good run in their league and maybe get on the other side of the state and take that game in Cookeville if we get there. But that's our Power 10 coming into 2020. And like I said, everybody stay safe out there, and let's hope we have a great season. Let's hope we have a season. Thanks.